Well, it's coming to grips with the idea that fire season is now year-round, that it is burning in places typically it wouldn't, in wetlands, in tundra areas, in high elevation, alpine, Rockies are burning like never before.
When we talk about efforts to combat climate change, often people talk about the price tag of the legislation being proposed. In the United States alone, however, the cost of fighting these fires, just these fires, has shot up to $1.9 billion just last year. That's more than a 170% increase over the previous decade. Are there any signs that lawmakers are grasping the economic consequences of doing nothing about climate change?
So a report came out that I think we really all should have expected, and that is the fact that fire season is now year-round, unfortunately. This is one of the realities of climate change that we fundamentally have to face, and it demands from us specific actions that unfortunately leaders are simply not taking. First and foremost, our firefighting staff around the country is fundamentally not enough. We do not have enough firefighters across the country, and they are not getting a break, and they won't be getting a break anytime soon, especially considering the increasing likelihood of fires over time. Additionally, we have a huge forest management problem. The truth of the matter is that our forest management in the United States as it is today is pretty terrible, and there's a lot of things that we could actually learn from the indigenous folks that are currently treated like second-class citizens in the United States, because before colonizers came here and took all of this land, indigenous folks actually had a really dope setup for their farming practices because of the way that they did this sort of permaculture with intermingling specific types of trees in the forests and cultivating the forests. They were able to limit the risks of forest fires and produce tons of food just growing out in the environment in the wilderness. By using these strategies, they managed to make their communities not only safer from forest fires, but also more plentiful in terms of the availability of food. Learning that basic lesson of how to have a more healthy relationship with nature and rolling out a jobs program to teach people how to do that type of forest management could be a huge success for our economy. Not only could it help us reduce forest fires, but it would also create tons of jobs and improve the environment, which is really a benefit for everybody. But as this host on CNN points out, our response to climate change right now is largely being driven by the insurance market.
So yeah, this takes a whole new mind shift, and a lot of that will be sort of led by insurance markets, where they're redrawing the way cities are zoned. If they say, I'm sorry, it's too dangerous, it's too fire prone, you're going to have to cover your own risk. That will make people change their ways.
Which is very, very frustrating, because the truth of the matter is that we shouldn't have our decisions be based off of minimizing risk. We should actually be going the other direction, and we should be maximizing our positive impact on the environment. We should be actively replenishing what we have reduced. We should be replacing our fossil fuels with green energy. Because the truth of the matter is, as long as we have a risk management strategy, then all we will end up doing is trying to manage ever increasing risk. And while the insurance companies are doing some things in terms of putting some economic pressure on people to be more sustainable with the development of their housing and things like that, the truth of the matter is that a lot of developers are just getting around that by making everything more expensive. It just means that poor folks are being priced out of these areas instead of actually making these areas more sustainable. But the reason we're not doing more is because it faces some harsh realities about how our economy works and the things people like in the world. Like, for example, golf courses really shouldn't exist in the southwestern states. There really shouldn't be allowed any golf courses in the southwestern states. Fundamentally, with the water shortage we are dealing with right now, it is deeply unethical that any golf course exists, because it is just nothing but a pure waste of water. Another unfortunate reality, swimming pools. Swimming pools are kind of a waste. They're a huge waste of water. And I know everybody loves a swimming pool, but you gotta realize you hate forest fires more than you love swimming pools. But these are harsh realities that, unfortunately, as a society, we're sort of refusing to accept. It turns out that a lot of Americans reject the idea of making any type of personal sacrifice for the greater good of everybody. Like, yeah, it's a personal sacrifice to not have a golf course or a swimming pool, but that's kind of what it takes in order to replenish these aquifers, rivers, and make sure that entire towns aren't burning down. And when it comes to staffing the firefighters across the country, I know one place where there's a huge budget that seems to have infinite money that we could pull from to hire more firefighters. That'd be the United States military. It turns out we would need a heck of a lot less firefighters for the military if we were doing less wars and invading fewer countries and dropping less bombs. And those firefighters maybe could be celebrated as heroes here in the United States saving lives instead of being invaders in countries that don't want them there.
This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to stay up to date with my content, you can follow me at Benjamin Carollo on Twitter. And lastly, to those of you who might be wondering or have noticed, my pronouns are in fact she, her.